How to make the ultimate black powder substitute, golden powder. Black powder and its substitutes are highly flammable and explosive when confined. Please experiment responsibly. Today, I'll be showing you how to make an incredible black powder substitute you've probably never heard of. Golden powder. We'll also be testing it out alongside black powder to see how well it performs. Chapter 1. Ingredients. Our golden powder composition consists of a blend of potassium nitrate, charcoal, red iron oxide, and ascorbic acid, which is also known as vitamin C. Let's get started. First, we'll weigh out 64.3 grams of potassium nitrate, followed by 32.1 grams ascorbic acid. Then 1.8 grams of Airfloat Charcoal. Airfloat means it's so finely powdered that it hangs in the air. Lastly, 1.8 grams of red iron oxide, also known as rust. You can optionally leave out the red iron oxide and charcoal and use a 60-40 ratio of potassium nitrate and ascorbic acid. But you'll need to carefully melt the ingredients together on a hot plate for that method. It can combust spontaneously if you don't carefully monitor the temperature and stir consistently. So our uncooked method is much safer and equally as powerful when milled and mixed thoroughly. Once we have all our ingredients weighed out, we'll combine them together in a mixing container. Our uncooked method is colored by rust and charcoal, so it isn't quite as golden as the cooked method. Luckily, it is just as powerful, so it isn't a problem. Now we'll be adding the mix to a Ziploc bag. Now break up any chunks with your hands until you have a consistent mix. This is much safer than trying to mill it in a ball mill and much faster than a mortar and pestle. Never mill a finished composition in a ball mill unless you are experienced and know exactly what you're doing with proper safety precautions in place. Finished compositions are often friction sensitive and can ignite and explode in a confined ball mill. Now that our composition is thoroughly mixed and all clumps broken up, we can proceed with granulating it. Chapter 2. Granulation. Next, pour the mix into a large mixing container. Then carefully add a few grams of water, making sure not to drown it. Mix thoroughly after each addition of water, and if there is still dry powder, add a few more grams. Repeat as needed until your entire batch is a consistent moist paste. If you pour too much water and end up with a slurry, simply add more mix until you get the right consistency. You'll know it's ready when you can squeeze the wet mix into a dough ball in your hands without it falling apart or dripping excess water. Now we'll take our dough and knead it on a clean, dry surface until it's about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick. Make sure your boom pancake is nice and flat across the whole surface for even drying. I then use a drywall scraper to pre-cut the wet mix like so. When dry, they'll easily break apart along those break lines into clean little pieces. Next, allow it to air dry somewhere cool and dry for 24 to 48 hours. They'll chip easily off of the surface when they're dry enough to use. Now break up and collect the pieces. We'll now grind the granules to our desired size with a mortar and pestle. Then we'll sift the mix through a sieve to separate the granules by size. Mesh sieves are ideal for separating a mix into batches of different mesh sizes. You can easily make your own sieves at home like mine by cutting away the bottom of a 1-gallon bucket and gluing a stainless steel screen over the bottom. Large granules are traditionally used for large bore guns like cannons, whereas small granules work best for small arms like rifles. We've separated our mix into 3 different batches by mesh size so that we can compare their burn rates. Chapter 3. Testing our golden powder. For our first batch, we'll leave the chunks intact and test those as is. Our second batch will be made up of the smaller granules. That was extremely fast burning. Excellent. Lastly, our third batch is made up of the fine powder that fell through the sieve. You'd think the fine powder would burn fastest, right? Actually, no. Granulation increases the surface area that is exposed to oxygen, greatly improving the burn rate. This discovery revolutionized the use of black powder worldwide and made it powerful enough to use in cannons and rifles. Now we must prep for our final test, the black powder versus golden powder showdown. Chapter 4. Black powder versus golden powder. I'll be making firecrackers using 2-inch shells, one containing granulated black powder and the other containing granulated golden powder. First, I punch a hole in one of the 2 shell hemispheres for our fuse. Then I add hot glue to seal the fuse in place. Now we'll need to grind the chunks we made into smaller granules. Next, I'm weighing out a burst charge using our BP and GP granules. Aim for a 30-70 ratio of burst charge to stars. Stars are pieces of bound pyrotechnics composition that burn in different colors or give unique effects. Pour the burst charge into a piece of tissue paper or coffee filter like I did, then wrap it up into a little pouch and cut off any excess, leaving an opening for the fuse. Next, I'm filling the shells with rice hulls coated in fine black powder. These can be substituted for stars if desired. Stars would only distract from our results here, so the rice hulls will make for a great filler. Once both sides are filled, leaving a gap in the middle for our burst charge bag, we can carefully pull the 2 sides together, while making sure the fuse enters the burst charge bag. Now squeeze the 2 sides together until they match up, and secure them with a piece of tape. Next, we'll be adding strength to the shell by wrapping it in 3 pieces of gummed paper tape. One side has a water-activated adhesive on it, so with a quick spritz of water, it can be applied over the shell in an X pattern until the shell is uniformly covered. Now burnish the shell by lightly squeezing and rubbing it between your hands until all of the tape is uniformly smooth against the surface. Once dry, the tape forms a hard, uniform outer shell, perfect for firecrackers. Now I'll let them sit for 24 hours to dry out and harden. And they're ready. Let's test them out. First, we're testing our control group, our black powder firecracker. Now for our golden powder firecracker. Impressive. What did you think? Did the results surprise you? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video or learned anything new, please like and subscribe. See you next time.